Okay, so we look at Redout at 21/9. Now, I stumbled across this game browsing for F-Zero kind of games on Steam, and I must say I have been pleasantly surprised from what I found here. It's a very fast, tight, challenging racer that most certainly, on a technical level, has been given massive attention, with across-the-board VR support for all platforms, and this extends to perfect ultra-wide support. So gameplay correctly shows off more on the sides of the screen, and the HUD shifts to the very sides fantastically neatly. And most importantly for this kind of game, the screen effects such as the blur of high speed use the entire screen space. Not doing so would break the entire immersion for such a title. The main menu is 21/9, and so are the end of race screens and ship selection screens. The in-game menus are also 21/9 with the grey background filling the entire screen space, and the screen elements using the entire screen space too. They're not locked to 16/9. Finally, loading screens are 21/9, the grey screen filling the entire screen space like the in-game menus, and the text remains perfectly center screen. Cutscenes also span the entirety of the screen space, even if they do have cinematic, inverted commas, black bars on the top and bottom. Performance-wise, this runs very well. It's a good-looking game without doubt, but it's also not the most graphically intense title of the year, but it works very well for what this is aiming to be, and the end result is a game that any of you should be able to drive on any system with its solid graphics options to get the frame rate you desire. I'm running a GTX 980 Ti at 3440x1440 and maintained above 70 at all times on highest settings, with anti-aliasing just dropped from highest to normal. I did get momentary hitching when in the tutorial section as the game prepared to pause the game to show me an information screen pop-up, but other than that one level, it didn't happen again, and I'm sure an SSD would iron out that problem. So as I said before, I had actually never heard of this game, as is the case so frequently with the huge selection out there, and it really was random luck actually that I saw the trailer for this, but I must say I'm so glad that I stumbled across this. I'll explain how things first went down when I started so you can see how I got to where I'm feeling. So with racing games, the career mode is usually very standard. Race here in this terrible car and slowly work your way up over many races to get the actually cool cars, and yeah, it always bores me, and so I always head straight to the free selection mode, where you can choose any map and any vehicle to race and just go from there, and I love it. However, with Redout, I started there, and something just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I was really getting anywhere. The game was fun, sure, but it wasn't the nail-biting, intense experience I wanted. It kind of lacked that thrill, and it felt a little simple, like controls, etc. were just too simple. I then decided if I was to review this game for the channel, I had to give the career a good play so as to give it a fair rounded review, and instantly things changed. After a bit of time with a sort of mediocre opinion of the game, I literally instantly got taught a few tips on how to maneuver that I had been totally unaware of before, and got placed in what I felt like was a far more high-stakes setting, and suddenly the game came alive for me. This is no word of a lie, it's why I felt like I needed to explain how it happened, because this game, well, any of its kind, succeeds if you feel the intensity. You are sucked in, feel the speed, feel the danger of hitting the sides or your opponents, feel the clock counting down and the requirement to perfect every lap. Without all of this, you won't get that bug to play it. So anyway, after further playing through the single player campaign thing that they have here, I now have a much better understanding of the game, and it is good. So the campaign isn't your typical heavy-duty, I'm trying to dominate the world of racing and here is how to do it, etc, etc. It focuses on quickly getting into the next race. You rank up as you succeed and you get better laps and you earn money to buy new perks, both passive ones and ones that need to be activated in-game. You can also get new ships and unlock new maps. It's in one way rather basic, but in actuality provides a bloody superb canvas with which a player looking to perfect their driving, well, more flying, skills can do. I found myself repeatedly trying to nail every corner in a new style, working out the flying line to take to get in and out as neatly as possible, but what set this out from typical driving games to me is there is another level of complexity that means you must marry your hand coordination together better. You have the typical forward, backward, sideways movement, but you also have on the right stick, instead of it controlling the camera, the ability to control tilt. So you can tilt forward or backward or either side. Tilting forward increases your speed on flat or downhill sections. Up stops you hitting the ground when the ground rises sharply in front of you, such as on a loop. Just these two are cool things that mean you must keep your eyes scanning ahead with more caution than normal. But what the sideways tilts do is provide a slick and fast way to making long bends, albeit pulling off such a move is bloody difficult. But the idea being you can slide sideways around if timed perfectly. The sideways tilts also can shift you left or right, differently to normal directional pointing left or right with the left stick. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. And the final addition to the move list is a boost, which on top of its obvious use, can be utilized to enter and turn on a corner extremely sharply and in such a manner that you would usually plow into the side. But if you manage to slam into a tight sideways turn and hit the boost at the right moment, it can propel you away from the sides of the wall as you scream around the bend. This turned out to be the fastest way I could find of pulling off sharp bends, and was both extremely exhilarating and bloody difficult. More often than not, seeing me plow straight into the wall or spinning out as I mistimed the turn. But that didn't stop me trying to do it. So as you can see, this game isn't the biggest thing in the world. It's not got GTA 5 levels of content to its name, but it doesn't need that. In fact, I guarantee that would flood it and sink it. It does so well because it does what it's trying to do so very well without bogging it down with bloat, and you really will have a blast. I need to give a special note to the music as well. It's not perfect, but it still fits very well. I had it blasting out of my surround sound speakers with the bass booming, and the soundtrack just works so well to keep your heart pounding and giving you that sense of urgency, the desire to go faster, faster, faster. I want to point out though that, bear in mind, this is not a direct F-Zero replacement. It's a different game for sure. Yes, it has similar traits and definitely the two crossover in places, but it is still a different game style in enough ways that I must warn you, if you are expecting an F-Zero replica, then you will not get what you expect. I'm not saying that what Redout is doing is bad, not at all. I'm just saying it's not exactly what F-Zero was doing. If anything, it's a far closer cousin to Wipeout, really. So I'm going to give this game a WideAsFcuk score of 5. Every single point of it is 21/9 catered to and deserves that number, no question. Redout definitely gets my recommendation in all departments for anyone looking for a very fast-paced, racing, futuristic game that you can very much grow into and demands you get skillful in order to succeed. I hope that gives you some information on how the game runs at 21/9. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe for future info. For any other games at 21/9, head over to my channel. Hopefully I've covered it. If I haven't, then leave a comment down below and I'll try and cover it. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, the links to my Patreon page are in the description. See you later.
Final lap. Congratulations, Silver Medal award.